it seems to me that the detractors are on the far right and on the far left, and it's kind of interesting because I think when the far right and the far left are saying bad things about it, then you're probably in a decent spot. I am not a total fan of the Common Core. I have my issues with it, but generally speaking, what I like is that it's standards based. That finally that someone is telling us where the end zone is and what our kids need to know and be able to do in order to be able to function reasonably in the world. And are you going to leave this up to some local school board? I don't think so. And that you go from district to district with them teaching different standards, and then you find out that in one community the standards are high, and in another community the standards are low, and which is what we found out with No Child Left Behind when we put accountability in, when the law put accountability in, they let all the states, basically make up their own accountability systems. We find that some states put in really rigid accountability systems, and other states put in these, really wimpy ones, and it's just not right. And you find out that you're ultimately cheating your kids when you don't hold them to high standards. So I think the standards-based part of it, so that we could go from know that that our kids are being held to high standards regardless of what part of the country they're in. I think that that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. The part that I don't like about it is that it's framed in a time-based mode. It's framed as, this is grade 1, grade 2, grade 5, grade 12. So in essence saying this is what your kids are supposed to learn in the first grade. This is what they're supposed to learn in the 8th grade. And, kids learn at different paces. And so why are we having all of them, basically, put into taking the standards based and putting it into a time based system? I think that I'd be happier if they just said level 1, level 5, level 12, and then when you master what you're supposed to learn at level 1, then you move to level 2. So I have my my complaints with it too, but overall, I think the idea of having something that is standards based and holding kids to high standards is a good thing.
Fred Bramante's on the WNTK Newsline. He is the president, pardon me, he's the president of the National Center for Competency-Based Learning. It's pretty funny when a guy on the radio can't get the word competency out. But, Fred, one of the things that I noticed right away as you were talking about, moving to giving credit for things learned, it kind of falls back to when you were on the New Hampshire State Board of Education, and you got rid of the Carnegie units, which gave credit it sounds like, just for being in class, and moved it to a more of a, hey, what have you learned type of situation.
Yeah, absolutely. We were the first state in the United States to do that. We received the State Innovation Award from the Education Commission of the States, and our concept has won the State Innovation Award 2 years in a row, and it's going to be the future of public education, and we will change away from this time-based system and move to a competency-based system. And so we're still early in the process, but basically everybody is going to end up doing it. So from that standpoint, I think that they got it right, and it wasn't the federal government that did this. This was initiated by the Council of Chief State School Officers, which is the commissioners from every state, and again, I give them a positive grade for moving in the right direction. I don't give them an A because I still think that there are some issues with it. But when you look at the far left and the problems that they have with the Common Core, they are concerned. And I think that there's merit in their concern. That they are concerned that that this just reinforces the idea of tests, and they have an issue with testing. They have an issue with focusing too much on testing, and I don't think, to me, you have to have some kind of test so that you can see where you are, but does the test become everything? Does the test drive the entire process? Do you focus so much on the test that maybe you lose sight of some other things? So, I'm not saying that there aren't arguments for some of the challenges around Common Core, but I think for the most part, it's moving in the right direction.
Fred Bramante's on the WNTK Newsline, president of the National Center for Competency-Based Learning. We're talking about Common Core initiatives. Some of the things that I've been told here from various guests, one of the things people don't like is a classical education they feel is being stripped. Like classical literature is being stripped out and being replaced with things like presidential executive orders. and if you look at I don't think they're off the rockers on this stuff, Fred. When I look at it, I'm like, wow, they're really, it kind of loose bases is what they're talking about, is that it says, well, instead of doing Shakespeare, you can do this. It puts a little bit too much, it takes some of the standards away. What do you say to that? To me, it's like there are some things that I could not care less about, and it's like I'll tell you, my family is so totally into Shakespeare. I am not. Somehow I survived, I want it as certainly as an option for kids, but too many kids are bored in school, and we try to feed the same medicine to all kids, and it doesn't work. And so you find a lot of kids who are spoon-fed this traditional education, and then we find out they just tune out, and in many cases very bad things come from this. They're taught that they're not very bright. They rebel. So to me, I think that you have to find ways to use what each individual's interests, passions, and dreams are, and use that to hold them to higher standards than ever before. And I really think that that's the grand bargain that we can make with our kids, is that we will hold them to higher standards than ever before, but we'll let them take more ownership of their learning. So, I am less concerned about, some things, yes, as far as like, mathematics, there are things that you have to learn. The communication, there are things that you have to learn. There are things that you need to learn in order to function in society. But as far as this, we have to do it a particular way, they're missing this or they're missing that. I think that we need to, certainly give them exposure to it, but, spoon-feeding them in a specific way, I totally disagree with. Fred, what about the idea that this is basically outcome-based education repackaged, which outcome-based was rejected by the American people? Yeah,
and I think I've heard that from Anne Marie Banfield. I think it's such crap that, pardon my English, we started this under Craig Benson, and when I was chairman of the State Board of Education, the words outcome-based education never passed our lips. So I have no idea where that came from. So, to me, it's like this is, you want to call standards-based, outcome-based. I think that, as my understanding of how the right portrayed what they call outcome-based education back in, I think it was probably the late 90s, maybe early 2000s, and portrayed it as some left-wing takeover of education, that we're going to rewrite the civic standards and turn some of our forefathers into bad guys. I have no idea where that stuff came from, but it had nothing to do with what we were talking about. So to me, this is this is this is proficiency based. This is standards based. You master what you're supposed to learn, and that is a flexible thing. We're not looking at making it so that that everybody has to read this book and everybody has to do this a specific way. That again, understanding what the general concepts and principles are, and then allowing kids to take ownership of their learning and let them do it their way. So that, imagine a kid saying, look, I want Mrs. Jones for language arts, but I want to use my karate lessons for my physical education. I want to play in a rock band, get my music credit. I want to do world history online. I want to learn automotives at the car dealership. I mean, all of those things should be fine for all of us. We're using our resources, our community resources, not forcing our kids into doing it the same way that you and I had to do it. I don't know what it was like for you, but for me it was torture. I just hated being inside of a classroom, and for many years ultimately thought that I wasn't very bright, and it took me a while to figure out that I wasn't as dumb as I thought. And I think there are a lot of kids like me. There's 7,000 kids drop out of high school every single day, and this is a national crime as far as I'm concerned, and so. We can do this better. We can probably do this for less money, especially in high school, than we're doing it now. And so why not? And why not use the resources that we have in our communities to give kids options that they never had before? I think we can make high school. We've often we were talking at the Department of Ed about giving the average kid the opportunity to finish their high school requirements by the time they were what would have been their sophomore year. And then assuming that the kids wanted to stay in school and to hang with their pals, to be on the sports teams or whatever else, that you now start bringing college down into high school and you give the average kid the opportunity to possibly get an associate's degree while during the time that they would have been in high school. Save parents tens of thousands of dollars in college costs. I mean, the opportunities that are sitting before us are pretty amazing if you move to a competency-based system. And as I said, the Common Core, it's to me it's kind of a half-pregnant concept. It's
Fred, Fred, I'm out of time. I got to leave it right there. I'll be reaching out to you again.
Anytime, Ben.
Thanks.